So if it wasn't committed during that time, were you also sleeping with other men as well?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes.
Whole nightmare onto your child. And as long as you disrespect him, and as long as you disrespect her. Did you remember her mother being intimate with anybody else during that time?
I didn't know then. After me and her separated.
Mr. Richard Lapine, you...
This case was one with high stakes and quite very unusual, as the outcome of this case could send Mr. Adams to jail or keep him free. Introducing the case of Adams versus Williams, Ms. Adams expresses the urgency of the matter concerning her son, Mr. Adams, who is joining remotely from Flint, Michigan. He cannot leave his state due to legal restrictions and is facing possible arrest for unpaid child support. Both Ms. Adams and Mr. Adams aim to prove that he is not the father of Ms. Williams' 3-year-old son to avoid incarceration.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Adams versus Williams.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Adams, you say you're here today regarding a matter of extreme urgency.
Yes.
Now, your son, Mr. Adams, is joining us via satellite from Flint, Michigan. And you claim he's on the verge of being arrested for back child support.
Ms. Williams asserts that Mr. Adams is indeed the biological father of her son. She believes his legal troubles are a result of his own actions, claiming he has not taken responsibility for the child. The judge allows Mr. Adams to speak from Flint, wanting to hear his side of the story. Ms. Adams begins explaining how they ended up in this difficult situation, emphasizing the dire consequences for her son.
I mean, no, when we was young at the time, we hooked up on and off, and it just...
So it was just an on and off thing?
Yeah, it was just an on and off thing.
So if it wasn't committed during that time, were you also sleeping with other men as well?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes.
All right, so the doubts that Mr. Adams and his mother have, they are valid doubts.
Ms. Adams is worried about her son potentially going to jail for child support on a child that both she and Mr. Adams doubt is his. Mr. Adams confirms that their relationship was not serious, recalling their first encounter at a party. He describes Ms. Williams' approach and implies that her character was questionable based on her actions. The judge questions Ms. Williams about her intentions when they met, leading to her acknowledgement that their relationship was casual and involved multiple partners.
No, Your Honor, only due to the fact that I was incarcerated, so I didn't receive any court subpoenas, anything, Your Honor. I was incarcerated.
So you didn't show up that day and you were deemed the father by default.
Ms. Williams admits to having slept with other men without protection during her relationship with Mr. Adams, validating the doubts he has about paternity. She explains that while she was pregnant, she initially believed the child was her ex-boyfriend's. After discovering he was not the father, she reached out to Mr. Adams to inform him of the possibility that he could be. However, she did not seek support from him until she had to name a potential father for state assistance.
First off, when I was dancing, the only person that ever watched my kid when I was dancing was my mom, most of the time.
You're lying, because you said your mother didn't like you and wouldn't watch the child.
So now what are you doing for yourself?
Right now I work at Memorial Hermit in Houston, Texas.
So you have a job?
Yes, I have a job.
And you trying to better yourself?
I'm trying to better myself.
And get your life together for your child?
Yes, I am.
That's what I want to hear. And Mr. Adams, was it your understanding that you may be the father or that you were the father?
Mr. Adams explains that he did not attend court because he was imprisoned and did not receive any notifications about the proceedings. Because he missed court, he was declared the father by default. Ms. Adams shares how she learned about the situation through a conversation overheard between Ms. Williams and her daughter, in which Ms. Williams allegedly denied Mr. Adams being the father. Mr. Adams disputes this, claiming he has heard Ms. Williams say otherwise.
Asked you to take a DNA test.
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor. She did.
Why didn't you take it?
His excuse was he had a hangover. He couldn't get up. He was just basically being lazy.
No, my son was in jail. My son was in jail.
No, this was before he had got locked up. I asked him twice.
He was in jail.
Why didn't you take the test?
I had the papers sent to jail to have the DNA testing.
Ms. Williams insists that she never denied Mr. Adams's paternity, but admits there were times she thought it might be her ex's child during her pregnancy. The judge highlights that the confusion surrounding the paternity and the dynamics of their relationships contributed to the current situation. The discussion reveals complexities in Ms. Williams' life choices, including working at a strip club while trying to care for her child.
So I gave them my name proud, like, you know, I'm Lassiter Adams. You know, I ain't think I had no warrant. Come to find out, he come back to me like, oh, Mr. Adams, you got a warrant for child support. I'm like, what? And next thing you know, he put me in the back of the car in handcuffs.
And how much time did you serve for this?
Like 10 days.
Despite the tensions, Ms. Williams states that she is now working and trying to improve the quality of her life for her child. The judge acknowledges her efforts to improve and encourages both parties to focus on their child's well-being. In an interesting, Mr. Adams reflects on his understanding of the situation, mentioning that he felt excluded from discussions about paternity until it became necessary for support.
But that's not making her feel any better, because the truth is she's trying to figure out who her child father is, not just for her, not just for support, but I'm sure these tears, this is about your child. Am I correct?
This is about my kid. I don't care about how nobody feels. I just want to get this over with.
It was clear Ms. Williams did not care. The judge points out that Ms. Williams named her child after her ex-boyfriend, which was an absolutely insane thing to do, by the way, which raises further questions about paternity. Mr. Adams asserts that he has heard rumors about other men being tested for paternity, but Ms. Williams clarifies that only her ex-boyfriend was tested. The judge continues to probe for clarity, urging them to address the main concern, determining the child's true parentage and what that means for all parties involved.
What you are is in a bad situation because of bad decisions. And what I want you to learn from this lesson is, when the court calls, you got to answer. And let me really keep it real. Because of your irresponsibility, you've created a situation where you might go to jail.
The parties of this case were not in court to play games. As much as $10,000 were at stake, and even bigger than that was the paternity of 2 children. This is the case of Redmond Jr. versus Patterson. Mr. Redmond was in court because he owed over $10,000 in child support for 2 teenage daughters, LaQuandria and Keisha, whom he claims are not his. Ms. Patterson asserts she is 100% sure that both girls are his daughters and is eager to prove this today.
Good day.
Mr. Redmond, you currently owe more than $10,000 in child support for the defendant's 2 teenage daughters, LaQuandria Redmond and Keisha Redmond, who you say are not yours. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Patterson, you say you are 100% certain that both girls are his daughters, and you cannot wait to prove the truth today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Redmond, why is it taking you so long to get this issue resolved?
In a very real and upfront moment, Mr. Redmond explains that for 19 years, he has been taking care of the girls. He has been jailed for his child support debt, totaling over $16,000. Despite this, he believes neither child belongs to him. Ms. Patterson responds, saying the girls are indeed his and that she has never cheated on him, which Mr. Redmond disputes, claiming he has caught her being unfaithful multiple times.
And he had his pants down.
That is a lie. When I
walked into the bathroom, Your Honor, his pants was down, and he quickly tried to pull them up, and she stood up.
That is a lie.
What?
Yes, Your Honor.
That is a
This
lie.
is when you all were dating?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh. You're saying that's not true?
That's not true.
So what's
Mr. Redmond is lying.
Yes, Your Honor. This is a picture of me coming home from work, Your Honor. This was when we was married. Your Honor, I rode bicycle in the cold to go to work. Your Honor, when I got home, it was a tall, dark-skinned man walking out of my apartment.
That is not true, Your Honor.
Ms. Patterson, do you know anyone that looks like that?
To thicken the plot and prove his claims, the judge asks for Mr. Redmond to present his evidence. He shows a picture of Ms. Patterson and a man in the bathroom, suggesting inappropriate behavior. Ms. Patterson vehemently denies the accusation. Mr. Redmond insists that he has caught her cheating and recalls a specific incident where he entered their home to find a dark-skinned man leaving. Ms. Patterson claims he is fabricating stories, stating she does not know anyone matching that description.
But at this point in time, at her job, the front people told me where she was at, how to find her location. I went back there to find the location that they told me to go to.
Okay.
I observed Ms. Patterson in the bed with another man. On top of the man.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, so this is you observing?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you confront her?
I didn't confront her, Your Honor. I was so hurt and discouraged. I walked away, got in my car, and left.
Well, what kind of work was she doing in this room?
She was a housekeeper.
Oh.
Mr. Redmond describes setting up a secret tape recorder in their air vent after witnessing suspicious behavior. He claims to have recorded sounds that suggest infidelity, but Ms. Patterson argues that the recording contained only static noise. Additionally, he describes a moment when he went to Ms. Patterson's workplace and found her with another man. The judge asks for details about her job, and Ms. Patterson denies any wrongdoing, stating it would have been against the rules to engage in relationships while working.
I was not.
Why do you think he is just making all of this up?
Your Honor, I don't know. To tell you the truth, this is what I used to go through when we was married. So this is basically why the marriage had ended.
All right, so let's get to the second pregnancy because you all managed to stay married long enough to get pregnant again.
Yes, Your Honor.
So why do you feel Kaisha is not your child? That's what I want to understand.
Because, Your Honor, I was so furious with Miss Patterson.
This case definitely didn't run out of its fair share of scandalous and unbelievable as it just kept giving and giving. Mr. Redmond narrates one more incident, saying he saw Ms. Patterson drinking and sitting on another man's lap at a family gathering. Ms. Patterson denies this, saying he constantly accuses her of cheating without basis. Mr. Redmond believes these incidents confirm that LaQuandria might not be his daughter. He struggles to accept the situation and feels betrayed by Ms. Patterson's actions.
Which one?
That we was all married and, had kids.
Do you remember him expressing doubt over paternity during the process?
No, Your Honor.
I've kept the children out thus far because...
May I say something, Your Honor?
No. I kept the children out thus far because I did not want them to hear this testimony and even be more confused like I am, but I would like to hear from them now. Jerome, will you please escort LaQuandria and Kaisha into the courtroom? Yes. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Please state your name for the court. You first.
Kaisha Redmond.
Kaisha. And your name?
LaQuandria Redmond.
All right. So,
moving on to another super issue, the judge shifts the discussion to their second child, Keisha. Mr. Redmond admits he was angry with Ms. Patterson during her pregnancy and claims they slept apart, contributing to his doubt about her fidelity. Ms. Patterson argues that Mr. Redmond was often absent and she took on the responsibilities of parenting, which he challenged.
Because he didn't have a house. He's always in and out of my life. He's never done anything for me.
And that hurts you?
I mean, it did, but then I had to realize again that he's nothing to me.
And so I want to hear from you, Kaisha. How has this affected you? I see the tear. Has it hurt you growing up without a father?
When we was homeless and we had nothing, we called him and he never gave us nothing when we asked for money or anything, nothing.
And this is a man you've grown up believing is your father.
Yeah, I really love him.
The argument escalates as both parties throw accusations about their parenting roles. Ms. Patterson insists she was the one caring for the children while Mr. Redmond was out. Mr. Redmond counters that he taught their oldest daughter to walk and prepared formula for the babies. He insists he was there for all the important moments, but started doubting the children's paternity only after their marriage began to fall apart.
1 or 2 times, you think that's gonna do something? It ain't gonna do nothing. You don't help my mom pay bills. You don't help us with anything. I have to come out my pocket and help pay rent. You don't do nothing. I have to get a second job just to help my mom in the house. You don't do anything. Is it because you ain't had no money to pay for no DNA test? Is that because?
LaQuandria.
Huh?
Mr. Redmond, she's speaking to you.
Reflecting on their relationship, the judge probes into Ms. Patterson's perspective, asking whether she ever thought Mr. Redmond doubted the children while they were together. As tensions rise, it becomes clear that the marriage was marked by mistrust and unresolved issues surrounding fidelity, leaving both parties eager for clarity on paternity.
The deepest part of herself and her emotions and how she feels. What is going on with you?
I mean, she's so disrespectful, Your Honor. I had to put up with the total disrespect of this young lady for a long time, Your Honor, from being called the B word, M and F in this, I don't care no more. Then I had to go to her.
So, do you believe that these are your biological children?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
Everybody clap, please.
All right, you know what? I'm not gonna prolong this confusion because what I have is going to alleviate all.
Cheating on your spouse on Valentine's Day is a different level of diabolical. That was exactly the case of Fetters versus Fetters. Mr. Fetters claims that his wife is a serial cheater and that their 9-month-old son, Corbin, is not his. He wants his name removed from the birth certificate once it is proven. Ms. Fetters acknowledges her mistakes but insists that Mr. Fetters is Corbin's father and is ready to prove it in court.
Mr. Fetters, you say you're in the midst of a divorce because your soon-to-be ex-wife is a serial adulterer who even cheated on you on Valentine's Day, which you believe resulted in the birth of her 9-month-old son, Corbin.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say there is no way you are Corbin's father and would like your name removed from the birth certificate when that is proven. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Fetters states that he is in court because he does not believe he is Corbin's father. He explains that their relationship started off well until 6 months in, when Ms. Fetters revealed she had slept with one of his family members. This revelation shocked him, but he still married her after a few years. He believes her cheating continued, particularly on Valentine's Day, which he thinks led to Corbin's birth.
He has no hard facts or information, and when I do sleep with someone else, I tell him the truth.
Well, Mr. Fetters, she says if she did it, she would tell you.
I find that hard to believe because when he was conceived, I had to pry the information as to...
Ms. Fetters responds by calling her husband irresponsible and accuses him of being emotionally weak. She denies sleeping with the family member and claims that he is making unfounded accusations. She insists that when she does cheat, she is honest with Mr. Fetters. Ms. Fetters admits to spending a night with her ex-husband on Valentine's Day, but argues that it was not a complete sexual encounter.
She tells me and persists to tell me nothing. I said, well, what happened last night to make you feel this way? She tells me that she had slept with her ex-husband, Justin. Not only once, but 3 times during the night.
Oh, that's incorrect.
That's not incorrect. That is very factual.
Oh my goodness.
Ms. Fetters, did you say that?
No, I did not.
What did you say?
I told him that I spent the night with him.
Was it protected sex?
Nope.
He actually didn't completely finish.
Okay, so he did not finish the act.
Correct.
And you admitted this to your husband.
Mr. Fetters describes the events of Valentine's Day, saying they went to a movie and had a good time. However, he claims that the night ended poorly when Ms. Fetters went to her ex-husband's place and slept with him. Ms. Fetters admits she spent the night with her ex but insists it wasn't a full sexual encounter, emphasizing that she communicated her actions to Mr. Fetters.
Constant
I've
tears.
never had to beg and plead.
Yes, you did. You just said you did. Always.
So now this is the actual Valentine's Day.
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
mean, what a 24-hour period.
Man, it's the crazy. I
don't even know why you all went to the movie. I mean, you all are making a movie. This is a full-on movie. This movie is called 50 Shades of Messy.
The judge probes into the timeline, asking how soon after the incident Ms. Fetters discovered she was pregnant. She responds that she found out a month and a half later, with the conception window aligning with her time with both men. Mr. Fetters expresses his concern about the possibility that he might not be the father, especially since they had unprotected sex shortly after her night with the ex-husband.
Because he can't have children. A doctor told him his sperm count is too low to conceive.
Did the doctor tell him he can't have it?
Yes, it's a very low chance that he can have any children. That's why I wanted
very
to
low is different than can't.
Right.
Well, he doesn't have any yet, so I don't know. I just don't think.
Do you have the paperwork?
I'm more than.
An emotionally conflicted Mr. Fetters reveals that, despite knowing about the affair, he was willing to forgive Ms. Fetters and hoped to keep their family together. The judge questions how Mr. Fetters could be intimate with Ms. Fetters just hours after learning of her betrayal. The emotional turmoil of the situation is evident as they both recount their feelings during this challenging time.
Doesn't completely fuse together. The cleft chin is a dominant trait, and a child with a cleft chin has inherited the gene from one parent or both parents.
I do not have one.
The judge reflects on the chaotic nature of the events, humorously calling it a crazy Valentine's Day, and compares their situation to a movie titled 50 Shades of Messy. The complexity of love, betrayal, and the quest for paternity creates a tense atmosphere as the court prepares for the next steps in determining Corbin's biological father.
Why does it have to be about the baby? Can't be about me?
Oh, but you have a boyfriend. Why would
What
you have
I
another
do
man
is
come
my
see
business.
you?
Who I
Okay,
have
so
come
there,
to
that
my
makes
home
plenty
is
of
my
sense.
So,
Why I
Ms.
don't believe
Fetters,
he could
are
possibly
you
be the father.
stating that you are in fact back with your ex now?
No, I am not stating that. We are very close. We've known each other over 10 years. We were high school sweethearts. We have a friendship. He does not come over for any sexual anything. He comes over to just see me.
This case will get on your nerves. From the lack of understanding of genetics to the constant bickering, get ready to have your nerves pricked. Today's case, we have Mr. Boykin and Ms. Gully. Mr. Boykin claims that his relationship with Ms. Gully was just a brief fling. After disappearing for 9 months, Ms. Gully resurfaced, asserting that he is the father of her son, Messiah Gully. Mr. Boykin is confident that he is not the child's father and plans to prove this in court. Meanwhile, Ms. Gully insists that Mr. Boykin is the only man she slept with during the time she became pregnant, and she is sure he is Messiah's biological father.
Mr. Boykin, you claim that your relationship with the defendant was nothing more than a spring fling. You say after disappearing for 9 months, Ms. Gully resurfaced claiming you fathered her son, Messiah Gully. You are certain.
The judge asks Mr. Boykin why he is certain he is not the father. He replies that they only had sex a few times, describing their relationship as a summer breeze. He claims he didn't even know Ms. Gully was pregnant. Ms. Gully counters that she is certain Mr. Boykin is her child's father because he was the only man she was with during the conception. The judge probes into their relationship, asking how they met. Mr. Boykin explains they met at a store and that their relationship was purely sexual without any commitment.
I met her at the store.
Okay.
I met her at the store, you know, talked to her a couple times. We ended up having sex a couple times. It was just a sex
We
thing.
exchanged numbers.
Oh, you just meet at the store, exchange numbers, then you just had sex?
That was it.
Yes. Not that same day, no.
Okay. How often were you having sex, Mr. Boykin?
A few times, Your Honor. I stopped messing with her like in August.
Were you using protection?
At first we was, but then I started.
We never used protection. Never.
And I see Messiah was born in April.
At this point, everyone is tired of this case. Mr. Boykin states that they had sex multiple times without using protection. The judge points out that since Messiah was born in April, the timing aligns with their sexual encounters, suggesting it could lead to conception. Mr. Boykin continues to deny being the father, insisting he had no idea about the pregnancy. Ms. Gully maintains that she informed him of the pregnancy when she called him from the hospital, while Mr. Boykin recalls her calling only for money.
Right.
She stopped calling me. I was never there through the pregnancy or none of that.
So, wait a minute. You saying through the whole pregnancy,
I was
you
never
heard
there.
nothing?
Nothing.
No.
So you didn't even know she was pregnant?
He knew because I called him from the hospital.
She called me after the day she had the baby in the hospital.
I called him after I had my baby, after I cut him off, months before I had my baby, because all he did was call me, wanted to have sex. That was it. And I was sick and went up for it.
You just said, I don't want to deal with this?
Yes.
Because he wasn't trying to have a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Go to dinner, go to the movies, or anything like that.
Ask me, I'm feeling okay. No.
Because we are not in a relationship.
As they argue about the timeline, Ms. Gully claims she contacted Mr. Boykin after Messiah was born. Mr. Boykin asserts they lost contact and he was not present during her pregnancy. The judge explains that losing contact does not negate the possibility that Mr. Boykin could still be the father. Mr. Boykin shares his feelings of uncertainty when he visited the hospital after Messiah's birth, saying he thought to himself that the baby couldn't be his.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Did you finally, after you talked to yourself and you went back and forth, did you finally go up there?
Your Honor, yeah, after I got myself together, I went up there. I hold the baby, I was looking at it. Then I looked at her, looking at the baby, looked at her, and I said, no, this ain't my baby. That's how I felt.
He stared at him for a minute, then he kissed him. He held him for a minute, maybe like 10 minutes, then he put him back down.
Ms. Gully says Mr. Boykin initially seemed interested in being a father, but denied it after her hospital stay. She claims he hasn't attempted to be involved in Messiah's life since the birth. The discussion then shifts to the possibility of a DNA test. Mr. Boykin states he wanted to take a test to confirm paternity, but Ms. Gully claims she returned the test and used the money for baby supplies.
And I mean, you have to understand, Mr. Boykin. I mean, Miss Gully had just had the baby. How's she going half on a DNA test and all of that, and she's still trying to heal and deal with the baby? Why wouldn't you just say, I want this result? I'm gonna pay for this test as long as you agree to just test the baby.
I was trying to do that, Your Honor.
Finally, the case ends with the judge emphasizing the need to find out the truth about Messiah's paternity. Both parents express strong feelings about the situation, and the court plans to address the DNA results to determine whether Mr. Boykin is indeed Messiah's father. The outcome will be crucial in clarifying their roles and responsibilities concerning the child.
Nothing but what she told me.
What did she tell you?
It's a possibility it might be his, and a possibility it might be yours. That's exactly what she told me.
And when did she tell you this? At what point in this process, in this timeline, did she tell you that?
After she had the baby, Your Honor.
After the baby was born?
No, ma'am.
We ain't get back, we ain't start talking until you had the baby. I did not talk to you until you had the baby.
Right.
Okay, well, so tell the truth.
Did you ever tell him, Miss Gully, that it could possibly be his baby or someone else's?
Like I told him, I strongly believe he's the father. I was messing around with this other guy. No, I don't believe he's the father.
Your Honor, shit not sure. That's unbalanced. How you gonna say you believe? Tell me I am or not.
Well, I know you're the father. He looks just like him.
Baby don't look like me.
And you submitted some pictures to the court that you say prove that Mr. Boykin is Messiah's biological father. This is a picture of beautiful baby Messiah.
You see the resemblance.
And you believe this picture.
This case was absolutely nuts. Ms. Lapine opens the case by expressing her shock. For 30 years, she believed Mr. Lapine was her father, until a family dinner conversation raised doubts. She reveals she's here today to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, Mr. Lapine explains that he's faced jail time over unpaid child support and could be sent back if he is confirmed as her biological father, which makes this hearing critical for both of them.
Ms. Lapine, you say for the past 30 years, you'd always believed the defendant, Mr. Lapine, was your dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then just months ago at a family dinner, you were told by a family member that he's not your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Still in shock, you state you're here today to finally discover the truth.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lapine, you say you've spent years in jail for unpaid child support and your life has been turned upside down.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tomorrow you have yet another court date.
Yes, Your Honor.
To thicken the plot, the judge asks Ms. Lapine to recount the moment she heard Mr. Lapine might not be her father. She describes how the family was talking about their parents when someone hinted that she didn't resemble her father. Confused, she approached another family member, but they dismissed her concerns. Later, she called Mr. Lapine, who admitted that another man was around during that time, raising his own doubts.
So hold on, they gave you a name?
Gave me a name.
Of the man that was your father?
Yes.
Wow. Mr. Lapine.
Yes, ma'am.
For 30 years, all this time, you believe this young girl was your daughter?
Yes, ma'am. And I've been 4 to 5 years in jail, and it gets rough.
4 to 5 years in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
For unpaid child support.
Yes, ma'am.
For a young woman that calls you and then says, some family member told me you may not even be my biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You actually have a court date tomorrow.
1:30 tomorrow afternoon.
A clearly traumatized Mr. Lapine, who thought Ms. Lapine was his daughter all along, reflects on the toll of spending years in jail over child support payments. He reveals that he's scheduled for another court hearing the following day, which could lead to further imprisonment. The judge inquires if he's been in trouble for anything other than child support, to which Mr. Lapine responds that it's the only reason he's ever been jailed.
So after you learned her mother was pregnant, you went on and married and signed the birth certificate and you stepped up to be the father.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you remember her mother being intimate with anybody else during that time?
I didn't know then. After me and her separated, I was told by friends of mine that they had slept with her and other people.
Wow. So as you look at...
Risking an answer. She may not be ready for emotionally, Ms. Lapine questions if her father ever doubted her paternity over the years. He explains that he trusted her mother initially, only to learn later from friends that she might have been unfaithful. He confesses he had always wondered if Ms. Lapine looked like him, noting that she bears no resemblance to him or his other daughter.
What are you holding in your hand?
This is a picture we took last week of me, my dad, and my sister.
And you feel like you strongly resemble your father,
right?
But Brandy does not.
Right.
When you look at this picture, Brandy, what do you feel?
I always thought that I just got my mother's side of the genes. I always thought, you know.
The judge invites Ms. Lapine's sister, Jennifer, to testify. Jennifer shares that although she believed Ms. Lapine was her sister, family members had made jokes about paternity in the past. She explains how this doubt has affected not just her and Ms. Lapine, but also their entire family, who grew up believing one reality only to have it questioned. This situation was clearly taking its toll on everyone concerned.
You and her mother broke up.
I come home, she come into where I was sitting and told me, I want you to move out.
And how old was Miss Lapine then? How old was your daughter?
3. I just packed my stuff and left. Now I wish I'd never left.
Jennifer holds up a recent family photo, pointing out the striking resemblance between herself and their father, a resemblance that Ms. Lapine lacks. Ms. Lapine reflects on how she always believed she inherited her father's attitude, even if she looked more like her mother. The judge notes the significant financial and emotional impact on Mr. Lapine, who has paid child support over the years and even been jailed, questioning how this uncertainty affects him. It clearly has been tough.
And when they take my child support out, I only get $600 a month after that. That's it.
So they're taking for your arrears?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Brandy, I have to ask you, what have the last couple of months been like struggling with this information?
Mr. Lapine submits evidence showing his long history of child support payments, including records dating back to 1998. He describes the challenges of maintaining a job while being repeatedly jailed over unpaid support, explaining the cycle of losing jobs and getting behind on payments. The judge emphasizes how high the stakes are, with another court date looming that could lead to more jail time if today's result isn't in his favor.
Because after 10 years, I missed out of you guys' life. Like I said, that was my mistake.
Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to say before we go to the results?
In a way, I'm jealous of them because my dad raised them, but he didn't raise me. He wasn't there for me, but he was there for them.
In the case of Lapine versus Lapine, when it comes to Jennifer Lapine, Mr. Richard Lapine, you are her father.